I'd like to call this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order.
We need order.
Come on.
Do we have order? All right. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Calling this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Ms. Riska. Can we please have the roll call?
Mayor Taylor,
Here.
Mrs. Sarowski,
Here.
Mrs. Koski,
Present.
Mr. Radke,
Present.
Mrs. Schmidt,
Present.
Mr. Yanez,
Here.
and Mrs. Yerko.
Present.
Thank you, Council. We need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski,
move to approve the agenda.
Support.
it's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Before we get into our agenda tonight, I do want to recognize that we have a lot of people here. This is probably the most well-attended meeting that we've had since this meeting in March of last year. So just a couple ground rules. We appreciate everybody keeps their mask on if they can. If you need to take your mask off, there is an area in the back. If you would, we ask you please stay near your seat for the meeting or for while you're here, because the more people are moving around, the more distracting it is for us, and the more likely it is that the virus could spread if it's in here. And if you do want to speak, you can speak during the designated times at the podium. Feel free to take off your mask. We just ask that you wipe it down at least after, if not before, with wipes that are there. And once the meeting begins, you cannot leave until the meeting is over. That's a rule. So
Like, you're out.
yes, that didn't get as many laughs as I was hoping. But no, I know a lot of you are here for the firefighter swearing-ins. And so what we'll probably do after that portion is just have a brief recess so everybody who wants to can go back out into the lobby and take pictures and do whatever you want to do with your family. So it is a very exciting night, I know, for a lot of people here. So without any further ado, we'll get into the meeting. And for the first item on our agenda tonight is a report from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you very much, Mayor. You'll be glad to know I have a very brief report this evening. First, let me begin by advising the community about an important property maintenance issue that we have to begin enforcing. We don't like to do it, but we have to. And that is, per city code, holiday decorative lights must be removed no more than 60 days after the holiday for which they are displayed. So that means all the Christmas and related holiday decorations need to come down now, and with the good weather, we're politely asking the community that residents that may still have them up to get them down as soon as possible, because we really hate to issue citations over this, but please be reminded that you need to do that as quickly as possible. And also on the City Council's consent agenda tonight is a resolution recognizing the Sterling Heights Drug-Free Coalition, which will be celebrating Black Balloon Day on Friday, March 5th at 5 p.m. at Christ Lutheran Church, which is at 12500 Canal in Sterling Heights, of course. The event will take place outside in the parking lot, and attendees will be able to sit in their vehicle to promote social distancing. So we encourage everyone to look at the resolution on our agenda this evening and understand the importance of Black Balloon Day. And Mayor, at the conclusion of tonight's agenda, I'm requesting that the City Council convene a closed session pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act for council to meet in connection with the negotiation of collective bargaining agreements. And that concludes my report this evening. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Vanderpool. With that, we'll move on to the next item on our presentation tonight, or on our agenda tonight, which is a presentation. And this is a swearing-in ceremony for our new fire chief, Kevin Edmond, and 8 new Sterling Heights firefighters. We have a presentation from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Now you know why my city manager's report was brief. Thank you again. As you well know, the Sterling Heights Fire Department is one of the top-rated departments in the country. We're always proud to say. This distinction comes with decades of hard work from the men and women who make up the department, including past, present, and future recruits. The department's long history of excellence continues this evening with the swearing in of the city's new fire chief and also 8 new firefighters. So let's get started with the fire chief. At the January 19th, 2021 City Council meeting, the City Council confirmed the appointment of Kevin Edmond as the new fire chief for the Sterling Heights Fire Department. Fire Chief Edmond commenced employment just yesterday, and today is his second day, of course. Since 2017, Mr. Edmond has served as a fire chief for the Collinsville Fire Department in Illinois. He started his professional firefighting career in 1990 with the city of Mentor, Ohio, and progressed steadily through the ranks, serving as firefighter paramedic, lieutenant, battalion chief, deputy fire chief, and of course then chief. Mr. Edmond has also served as a director of Lakeland Community College's paramedic program, where he is instrumental in securing its initial national accreditation. Mr. Edmond holds an Associate of Science degree in fire protection, a Bachelor of Science in Technical Education from the University of Akron, and also a Master's of Public Administration with Applied Research and Emergency Management. So at this point, we're pleased to have Mr. Edmond joining the city's leadership team. He'll make a great addition to our directors and managers who work really hard along with the mayor and council to lead the city forward through so many exciting initiatives. And now the city clerk, Melanie Riska, will administer the departmental oath of office to the fire chief. And then after that, we'll have the swearing in of our 8 new firefighters as well. Thank you.
Want to come on, join us up here, Chief Edmonds? Where do you want to meet him?
However you want.
Right up in front, whatever's good for Bob there.
Gonna direct traffic
You need some,
and a microphone.
oh yeah, we need some audio.
Like how Bob came around. He's on top of it.
I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that of the state of Michigan
and the state of Michigan
and the charter of the city of Sterling Heights,
and the charter of the city of Sterling Heights,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of fire chief
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of fire chief
in and for the city of Sterling Heights,
and for the city of Sterling Heights,
county of Macomb,
county of Macomb,
state of Michigan,
state of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
One thing that I would like to say at this point,
Gotta have the
You gotta take the
microphone.
mic with you.
You're fine there.
the first thing that I would like to say is I want to thank council, the mayor, and the city manager for giving me this opportunity to lead this great organization. The other thing that I would like to do is I would personally like to thank Assistant Chief Ed Miller for running the organization prior to me getting here, and look forward to his support in the future. And I would like to introduce him at this point in time to swear in the 8 new firefighters that we have for Sterling Heights.
Thank you very much, Chief. Assistant Chief Miller. So for this one, why don't we have you standing at the podium? And then we'll have, we're going to do all 8 at the same time? Okay,
Plan.
sounds good.
I'll invite the 8 new firefighters up, and while they're walking up here, I'll introduce a couple of them to you. The first 2 were actually hired October 19th of last year. COVID caused us to make some adjustments, to the swearing-in process, but since then, they've been great additions to our department. First one is Pierre Johanna. Pierre Johanna actually is a city resident. He comes with some experience prior to being hired in Sterling Heights. We're gonna go. He is also our first Chaldean firefighter, as we look forward to bringing a better inclusion into our department. And he is here tonight with his sister and his mom. Ryan Gatney was hired on October 19th, and he was previously worked in South Bend Fire Department. So he moved back to Michigan with his family, and tonight he's here with his wife and 2 daughters. Starting yesterday, March 1st, we have added 6 firefighters, which we were lucky enough to get with the assistance of a FEMA SAFER grant that we wrote for last year. And these 6 individuals come with quite a variety of education and talents. First one is Alex Rowling. He was a part-time firefighter in Macomb Township, and he went to Macomb Community College for his training. Ashley Brower. We stole Ashley from a family of firefighters that actually work in Clinton Township, and she is here with her grandfather and father tonight, who are both were and are members of the Clinton Township Fire Department. Jacob Stitchholler, a resident of Sterling Heights, who also worked at Armada Township as a part-time firefighter recently. Matthew Perkins, who comes from Bloomfield Township Fire after 8 years of seniority. So it's great to have Matthew come to Sterling Heights. Donovan Huber is here tonight as well, with after a year of experience from Inkster Fire Department. And LaPortia Jones, she's an experienced paramedic, worked for Universal, so she has worked with the Sterling Heights Fire Department in a different capacity before, and most recently MedStar Ambulance. So we look forward to having them on the fire department. So I will get this out. Okay. So raise your right hand. Okay. And repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and the Sterling Heights City Charter, that I will comply with the rules and regulations of the Sterling Heights Fire Department, and will discharge my duties of my office to the best of my ability. Congratulations and welcome, sir. Typically, council likes to hear something from you. I don't know with 8 people if you'd like to share a few moments and hear something from the candidates. Up to you, Mayor.
Absolutely. We are here. We might as well. This is your chance.
Introduce themselves.
Try not to go beyond maybe 7 or 8 minutes each, because, no, just, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself, and that's really all we need to hear. And we just want to, give you the opportunity to thank anybody that you might want to thank. And we can just take you one at a time. And so feel free to go right ahead.
Portia's the closest. We'll have.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is LaPortia Jones. I just want to say it's an honor to work for Sterling Heights Fire Department. This has been my dream department. The last 2 years have been dedicated to making sure that I do the steps necessary to work at this department, and I take pride in that. I want to thank my mom, my friend Kim, James, and all my MedStar friends back there. It's a lot more people. Tracy Davis, she's also a lieutenant that works in Sterling Heights. She's always been a great role model for me. She's been with me since, day one. And I just want to thank everybody else who's always supported me, and thank you guys for welcoming me.
Thank you.
My name is Ashley Brower, and I would just like to start by saying thank you, everybody on the board, and thank you for everybody on my oral board, and both chiefs, Ed Miller, and the new chief, Kevin Edmond. I would just like to say that I want to thank my mom as well, and my dad and my grandfather for instilling good habits in myself to get to a dream department like this one. And I'm looking forward to servicing the community to the best of my ability and really getting to do some hard physical work. And I'm just really excited to work with all these other fine candidates. And yeah, thank you guys.
My name is Donovan Huber. I'm very excited to work for Sterling Heights Fire Department. It's been a long time dream. Ever since I've been a kid, I've always wanted to be a full-time firefighter and hopefully end here at Sterling Heights. My father is a big role model to me. He was in the service as well, still currently. Family was a huge push for me. I want to say thank you to all my family. And my girlfriend Nicole back there, she came with me tonight to support, and I want to thank everybody sitting in front of me. And again, the two chiefs standing next to me. And I look forward to serving the city of Sterling Heights.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Matthew Perkins. Also, just like everybody, in a broken record, but I want to thank you guys, the council, and all the residents for supporting the fire department for as long as they have and continue to support. I want to thank my employer as well for the opportunity, and look forward to serving the council and the residents for as long as I can. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Gatney. Currently on duty, so I'm going to make this quick. I just want to thank the city, thank the chief, new chief, for the opportunity. Took about a 7-year hiatus from the fire service before I got back into it. So far, since October, this has been the best decision I made since marrying my beautiful wife, Laura, back there, and our 3 kids, 2 of our girls that are here right now, and our baby boy at home. Thank you guys all for the opportunity, and look forward to serving the community and meeting some of you along the way, hopefully in the best way possible.
Hello, my name is Pierre Johanna. I have been a resident here in Sterling Heights nearly my entire life. I want to thank Chief Miller for giving me the opportunity to work here. Since starting here in October, my experience has been extremely positive, and I look forward to continue serving the community, and thank you for having me here.
My name is Alex Rowling. I'd like to thank the council, the chiefs, for this opportunity to work in this city. I'd like to thank my parents for their constant support getting to this point. I'd like to thank my girlfriend as well, Bethany, for her support, understanding with this job. I look forward to being able to serve the community and for the ability to forward my career and to educate myself with the fine department of Sterling Heights. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jacob Stichaller. I moved into the city of Sterling Heights about 2 years ago with the objective to work for the fire department, so I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity provided for me and for all the mentorship provided by previous departments and teachers, and I'd like to thank my family for their support.
Mr. Mayor, as you can see, they probably didn't realize you were going to have to talk in front of council tonight. They did a great job.
They did.
And after a long day of training already, I appreciate their enthusiasm still, so we look forward to having them on the fire department.
Thank you very much, Chief Miller. I appreciate your leadership and stewardship of the department and your consummate professionalism as a Sterling Heights firefighter. Congratulations to Chief Edmonds. Council, I'll open it up to anyone who has any comments or anything. Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have to say, I'm always so excited to see so many young people going into public service. This job is the best job you're ever going to have because you get to serve the residents. I think I'm blessed every day to come to work here as a council member because there's nothing more exciting or more fulfilling than helping out your neighbors and helping out the community. So thank you for arriving, especially during this time of COVID, which is probably the biggest strain on our fire department that we've ever had. It's changing the way we do business, and I want to thank you for being willing to do that. I love the diversity here. I think you're going to serve our department for years. We're going to win more awards, and we're going to get that ISO 1 rating, which I know is a high priority for both chiefs. But thank you so much for showing up. I want to thank you again for working during COVID, and this is the best job you're ever going to have. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I also want to thank you and welcome you to Sterling Heights, those of you who have not lived here before, and some of you who have lived here your entire lives. I love the city, and I'm sure that you will grow to love it if you haven't already, and we are so happy to have you. Your presence will make us all safer at a time when safety and health is not a commodity that everybody can afford. So we're very glad to have you, and we look forward to many years of your service, and I am thrilled that we now have, I think it's 4 females on our department, and I love to see that. I wanted to be a firefighter when I was little, so didn't get there. I didn't have the stamina that you ladies have, but I do, and the strength, but I do applaud you, and I applaud all of you, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Sarowski. Council, anyone else? Mr. Yanes?
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to Chief Edmond and the 8 new firefighters. It is 8, right? Am I counting right? It's a tremendous job. It's a great job, guys and gals, and got to remember the gals part. And you're going to have a great career here. This is the premier fire department in the state of Michigan, and you need to treat it that way. And I would also like to say, with 8 new firefighters, the Sterling Heights Fire Department fire stations are going to have the cleanest toilets anywhere in the state of Michigan. Congratulations, guys, in all seriousness, and gals.
If you guys didn't know, he is a retired firefighter.
They got rid of him. Mrs. Koski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also would like to say congratulations. Welcome to Sterling Heights. You have chosen the very, very best fire department in the state of Michigan, in fact, in the nation. So you're going to have the opportunity to learn much more, and you're going to have a great time doing it, and know that your council is always there to support you. So stay safe, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Mrs. Koski. Mrs. Zarko.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. First of all, welcome aboard. I really can't see all of you, but that's okay. Welcome aboard to one of the best cities in the country. You're going to love what you do because you're going to love being here. I also want to not just welcome the new firefighters and the new chief, but I want to publicly recognize the efforts that Deputy Chief Miller put into keeping the department running in the last, 6 or 7 months. We certainly appreciate your efforts. You've been professional. And I don't have enough accolades to give you this evening because I've been so impressed with your service to our city. So thank you.
Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you. I would like to welcome you all as well. As everyone before me has said, you're coming into the best of the best, and I'm sure you're going to be a great asset to all of them. Learn from them. And just be safe. That's all I ask. Do what you need to do to be safe out there. And I know that our training is impeccable, and they will make sure that you have everything in place and everything you need to do that. So I wish you all well. Chief, I welcome you and your family to our community, and am looking forward to a long relationship there. Assistant Chief Miller, as Mrs. Yarko said, you have done a fantastic job leading the way the last several months, and I truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt, and thank you to the 8 of you, to our new chief. I'm struck every time we have one of these ceremonies by usually 2 things. We hear about family. We hear about how proud you are to continue, some of you, in the family business, so to speak. You come from a line of firefighters before you, and there's a pride that comes along with that whenever you're doing what your family member has done, when you do what your father or your mother has done before you. And others spoke about this being a destination department that you'd always wanted to work for the city of Sterling Heights. So we obviously swell up with pride when we hear that. Because it makes us feel like something is going good here. And we really strongly believe something is going good here. There is a real tradition of excellence in every department, whether it's the fire department, the police department, city management, our DPW, our Parks and Recreation department. We try to push forward on everything we do to deliver the highest level of services possible. We hold ourselves up here to that standard, and we hope that we deliver for our residents. And we know that that's the reason you came here. So we're really proud to have you. We expect a lot from you, but you wouldn't be here if you couldn't deliver on that. So I know your family members are proud of you. We're proud of you. We wish you Godspeed and good luck out there. I can tell you there's 135,000 residents in this city that love you and love the work that you're doing and go to sleep at night, every night, knowing that this is the reason they chose the city of Sterling Heights, is because they have people like you protecting them and protecting their loved ones, protecting their kids, like 2 little kids, like my 3 little kids at home. I don't have to worry about it because of men and women like you. And so I ask you to just continue to do everything that you can for the city. And if you're here 25 or 30 or 35 years, I hope you have that same enthusiasm on the day you leave as you had today. So I'm going to ask for one more big round of applause and congratulations to these new 8 firefighters and our new Fire Chief, Kevin Edmond. So right now it is 7:26. I was, of course, kidding earlier in the meeting. You do not have to stay for the rest of our meeting. I'm sure you want to get out in the lobby and celebrate and move on. I think the restaurants are back at 50% capacity. So if you've got a reservation or something, go celebrate. You've earned it and you deserve it. So we're going to take about a 5. We'll say we'll come back in 6 or 7 minutes. Okay. So until then, we'll stand in recess. into order, and we'll move on from that presentation and on to the next item on our agenda, which is an ordinance introduction. This is to consider introduction of a map amendment to zoning ordinance number 278 to conditionally rezone property situated on the east side of Van Dyke, north of 15 Mile Road in Section 27 from C3 General Business District to M1 Light Industrial District, case number PZ 20-0003. We have a presentation from our city planner, Chris McLeod. Mr. McLeod.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Vanderpool. Tonight is on the agenda for the consideration of introduction for the map amendment, as you know, for C3 to M1, which is general commercial, to our M1 Light Industrial District. The applicant has requested a postponement for at least 30 days of this particular request, but I did want to give just a brief introduction of what the project entails, and that at this point is a conditional rezoning to take the current target facility that's vacant, 103,000 square foot building, sitting on just over 10 acres. And then the proposed use is technically unknown at this point, other than the fact that they've defined it as a potential warehouse or distribution center as part of that M1 usage. The site would remain essentially as is, with some landscaping improvements, some minor building improvements, and some minor parking lot improvements. But with that, there would be no significant changes otherwise to the site. So with that, again, the applicant has requested that postponement for at least 30 days. So with that, if you'd like a further presentation, I'll be more than glad to do that. But otherwise, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McLeod. The applicant has requested a postponement, but I will open it up to the audience if there's anyone who'd like to speak on this item. Mr. Jefferson.
Charles Jefferson, Sterling Heights. We do not need another warehouse or any storage facilities in this here community at all. So if they can't come with something different for that project, I suggest we turn this project down. We have enough storage facilities, we have enough warehousing, some just sitting empty and vacant. We don't need to do this, especially on the main boulevard. We need to look into maybe redeveloping that maybe into a more of an entertainment corridor than another industrial storage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jefferson. Anyone else from the audience on this item? If not, council, I would entertain a motion to postpone this item to the April 20th, 2021 City Council meeting.
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Schmidt.
Resolved to postpone indefinitely consideration of the map amendment to zoning ordinance number 278 to conditionally rezone property on the east side of Van Dyke, north of 15 Mile Road from C3 to M1, case number PZ 20-0003.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Mr. Koszubski, an indefinite postponement, is this debatable? It is,
Yes.
right? Okay. How does an indefinite postponement come back to the city council?
Generally speaking, we would look for the applicant to make a substantial change to the application that was before you before. So if there's some change, like if there's a proposed user, things like that, that would make the administration bring that back to council in the future.
Okay. So if I was asking for a definite motion, but would there be anything that would stop the petitioner from coming back in the next 15 to 30 days and asking to be on the second meeting in April if that was their prerogative?
Well, if you're going to postpone it, if you were deciding to postpone it indefinitely, we would like I said, like to see a change in what it is they're bringing that's substantial. If it was postponed to a date certain, they wouldn't need to go through that hurdle.
Okay. I spoke with the petitioner's attorney this morning, and they asked for a 30-day postponement. So that was my understanding, is that we were going to be giving a 30-day postponement, not an indefinite postponement, which would essentially be sort of like a tabling. So I would prefer a postponement to a date certain. I'll let debate go on. Mrs. Schmidt.
I have nothing, I would support amending my motion. I have no problem doing that.
Okay. Do you want to withdraw your motion?
Sure. I will withdraw my motion and make a new motion. Okay? Resolve to postpone until the first meeting in April?
Second meeting in April, I think the mayor.
Second meeting, April 20th, 2021.
Okay, April 20th, 2021, for consideration of the map amendment to zoning ordinance number 278 to conditionally rezone property on the east side of Van Dyke, north of 15 Mile Road from C3 to M1, case number PZ 20-0003.
Support.
Been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, council. Next item on our agenda tonight is an ordinance adoption. And this is to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 51, Article 3 of the City Code to update and enhance regulations governing the preservation of trees. Is there anyone in the audience who would, Mr. McLeod, anything from you on this one?
I do not, Mr. Mayor, unless the council has anything for me.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? Yes, sir. Mr. Matthews.
Good evening. As one of the members of the Sustainability Commission, we talked about this to a good deal, I would say probably half an hour or 40 minutes, and then did some research on it. And we really took a couple different factors into consideration while looking at something like this. And we looked at the variety of trees impacted and how forward-thinking it would be, and made sure it wasn't, you know, exceptionally onerous on any developers. And we really think that this is part of a much larger roadmap that perhaps the city can take in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you. Resolved to adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 51, Article 3 of the City Code to update and enhance regulations governing the preservation of trees.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion, Mrs. Sarowski?
No, basically, I'm going to, for the residents at home, I'm going to read out just some of the things that I think are extremely important with this ordinance update. And that is that we are increasing the tree preservation percentage requirement from 37 to 50% on a property, so that is preserving quite a bit of the trees. Eliminate the exclusion of non-desirable trees. Some scrub trees people don't like, and some people do like them. Poplars are one of those. I love poplar trees, and I like the little fuzzies, but some people don't like them. So this is going to eliminate that exclusion from preservation requirements. It's going to require 100% land replacement of landmark trees, those trees that have a certain size and age, require the replacement of trees on site, and streamline tree preservation renewal submittal and review process. So it's not, as Mr. Matthews mentioned, it's not so onerous on the property owners to try to comply with this. I think this is beautiful. It's a great start to getting our city back our canopy that we would like to keep. Emerald ash borer certainly did a number on that, and we have not quite recovered. So I'm happy with this at this point. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sarowski. Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I totally agree with Mayor Pro Tem Sarowski. The one thing I would add is this applies to not owner-occupied homes. So if you own your own home, this doesn't apply to you.
Correct.
But for new developments, this would apply to. For commercial development and to vacant land, this would apply to. So I don't want people at home to freak out and think, oh, geez, I better go cut down my tree right now. But I think this would be wonderful. We've talked about increasing the tree canopy for some time. This is just another tool in the city's toolbox to make that happen. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else, council? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is another ordinance adoption. This is to consider adoption of a map amendment to zoning ordinance number 278 to conditionally rezone property situated on the west side of Van Dyke, south of Metropolitan Parkway, in section 28 from M1 Light Industrial District to C3 General Business District, case PZ 20-0004. Mr. McLeod, anything to add on this one?
I do not, Mr. Mayor, unless council has anything for me.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Yanis.
resolve to adopt the map amendment to the zoning ordinance number 278 to conditionally rezone property situated on the west side of Van Dyke, south of Metropolitan Parkway, in section 28, from M1 Light Industrial District to C3 General Business District, case PZ 20-0004, subject to the terms and conditions of the conditional rezoning agreement that the mayor and city clerk are hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the city.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Mr. Yanis?
No, I think we had presentations back in February on this project. I think we all agree that it's a pretty nice project, and I'm looking forward to having them in our city.
Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. McLeod. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on any item on tonight's consent agenda? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a consideration item, and this is to consider the application by Cassaday Structural Steel Incorporated to amend the final cost of the real property investment made pursuant to Industrial Facilities Tax Exemption for Certificate Number 2018-140 at 40675 Mound Road. We have a presentation from our Senior Economic Development Advisor, Luke Bonner. Mr. Bonner.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, members of council. This item is a result of a postponement from the February 16th meeting due to the applicant being out of town. This is an application from Cassaday Structural Steel to amend their previous tax abatement to add an increase in cost for the project. On October 16, 2018, the original abatement was approved by City Council for a 25,950 square foot expansion to its current facility on Mound Road. The total cost of the project of real and personal property was $5.9 million at that time, with $1.3 million of that being for the actual real property investment. On November 17th, 2020, Cassaday Steel submitted an amendment for the final cost of the real property investment. They are seeking to increase the approved amount of the real property investment by $1,753,019 from the previous $1,369,272 for a total of $3,122,291. That new cost is based on adding a new receiving bay and a new material transfer bay as well. The real property investment is also going to increase the total overall real estate property taxes over the 7-year term by an additional $47,390 to the city, an additional $52,790 to the schools. Paul Calmy, the CFO from Cassaday Steel, is here with any questions. And we were talking before the meeting. Actually, it's a really good point. Cassaday Steel started on 19.5 Mile Road in a pretty small building, and they have grown, exponentially, since around 2000. They actually, if you remember, they purchased the old Moore flame cutting building on Mound Road. And at the time, remember walking through it with Bruno Cassaday, that building was a total disaster. I mean, the roof was completely molded and falling in. You couldn't walk in the building without having a full face mask on because of the amount of mold that was in the building. The walls were literally black. And based on the renovation of the building at that time and the expansion that they've just concluded, that has become a model facility for their particular industry. And I know Bruno Cassaday and Paul Calmy are extremely proud of their investment. So I'm here to answer any additional questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bonner. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? You want to come up, Mr. Calmy?
Thank you. I'll be brief. I just wanted to thank City Council for considering our application for amendment. 2 quick points. I want to let the residents know that being that we're in Sterling Heights and the city is assisting us with this expansion, we're open for business. We need employees. We need help. To all the residents who might be looking for a job, please come on in and apply. We'd love to have Sterling Heights citizens. So, and lastly, I want to invite City Council, if you're ever in the area during the day, you want to stop in and check out what we do. We'd love to have you there and personally give you a tour and tell you a little bit about Cassidy Steel and the services we provide. So, thank you. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
Absolutely. We'll call you back up if we have any questions during deliberations. So thank you for being here tonight. Anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Zarco.
resolve to adopt the resolution approving the application of Cassidy Structural Steel Incorporated to amend the final project cost of the real property investment made pursuant to the Industrial Facilities Exemption Certificate number 2018-140 at 40675 Mound Road.
Support. Been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Zarco?
I've had the opportunity to actually tour Cassidy Steel. Mrs. Schmidt and I went there, I think probably right after, I was going to say, the pandemic, because I think we had masks on, if I remember. But anyway, it was nice to go through the facility. We walked through, we saw some of the improvements that were going to be made, a lot of the history that was there. That was very, very interesting. So I understand all of this, so I'm in favor of it. So good luck.
Thank you, Ms. Zarco. Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. Mr. Calmy, if I could have you come up and just mention some of the jobs that you have available. I think it's fantastic that you've, specifically are welcoming Sterling Heights residents.
Absolutely. Yes, we have machine operator opportunities, welders, structural fitters. We could use some engineers, structural steel engineers, some computer data entry. So we could use just about anything. So.
Great.
Again, any residents who may be interested, please come on in, and we'd love to interview you.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Mayor.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Anyone else, council? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and good luck as always. Next item on our agenda tonight is to consider an appointment to the City of Sterling Heights Board of Review. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we have one appointment to the Board of Review. Is there anyone who'd like to make this appointment?
Mayor Taylor.
Mr. Radke.
Resolve to appoint Mark Magny to the Board of Review to a term ending June 30th, 2022, so that the appointee meeting the qualifications set forth in Charter subsection 4.03 and taking the oath of office within 2 weeks.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes that portion of our agenda tonight. We'll move on to communications from citizens. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak under communications from citizens? Mr. Jefferson.
Charles Jefferson, Sterling Heights. First thing is Lamborghini. I'm going to quote Trick tonight, so get your pen out. First things first, Mr. Vanderpool, I got a question for you because it came up during the week. It's about snow shoveling. Your property abuts like or 18-mile road or something like that. How long do you have to shovel that snow before, after you get a citation for not shoveling the snow on that area? Is it like getting grass cutting violation, you have 7 days, or what is it? Also, how many businesses were fined during the brief snowstorm we had for not shoveling their sidewalks? And is there some kind of zoning or code that, because I got out at a gas station, it looked like they had already plowed it, but it was still not safe, if you understand what I'm saying. It looked like whoever plowed it, but it wasn't really a real good job of plowing. So I was wondering about that. Is there going to be a reclamation for Women's History Month? This is Women's History Month. We had one last month. Are we going to have one this month for Women's History Month? Or are we just going to let that go? Are there going to be any special programs that we know about? Or library going to have anything? Community center going to have anything? I'm trying to tell you, you recognize one, you got to recognize them all. This next question goes out to Mike Rack, since he likes to chime in a lot. We had an unfortunate incident with a police officer during the week. My question to you, Mike, is when is it feasible or possible, or can you tell us that when one city official discriminates against another city official, are not official, but opposed, people find it offensive by certain city officials, when is it not offensive? Because we saw this one by the police officer, it was pretty offensive. But on the other hand, we all seen that picture. That was pretty offensive as well, and nothing was done. Nothing. We've had a city official tell a woman of color what she could do to herself. And what did that guy get? Put back on the board of commission. Dude of color swore at the mayor. He got relieved from his duties, even though the mayor swore at him too. Right? And I wasn't in my official capacity around here. So I just like to know, is a person an official? When aren't they official? When do we hold people accountable for their actions? Now, Labradini, here we go. This is Trick. Quote from Trick. There's a lot of big fellas talking trash about my town, but I ain't seen none one of you yet. And that's that. He says, Trick says, there's a lot of cuss words in there, so I had to clean it up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jefferson. That'll be it. No, that'll be it. Thank you, though.
No.
We'll hear about Trick at the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll hear.
Anyone else?
You know you wrong.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'm the only one gonna stand up to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else under communications from citizens? Mr. Matthews?
I'd like to again congratulate the new firefighters on their new positions here in Sterling Heights, and I hope they'll be here for a good long while. It's always great to see new people get a new start or, move to a place that they want to be in to create a life and to grow and thrive. And it's wonderful to see that, there was a bunch of people here to recognize that that happened with our new team of firefighters. And, as a teacher, I kind of see the other side of this. It seems like sometimes people are very excited when some people get hired, but not so much when other people get hired. Some people are more worried about the cost of it. I'm very happy, though, that nobody tonight was saying, well, one of those 8 firefighters, can we really afford that? It's a necessity to keep our city safe, and it's a necessity to make sure that they can be well supported in their livelihoods to grow and thrive here as they serve their local environment. I'm hopeful that we can continue that same level of positivity for other employees that the city may need in the future as it grows and thrives as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Anyone else? If Not, I'll close that portion and go on to reports from city administration. Mr. Vanderpool, anything tonight?
Mayor, just quickly, and hopefully we don't have to worry about this anymore this season. Sidewalks must be clear of snow within 24 hours after a snow event pursuant to our ordinance. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Koszybski?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have one item for closed session tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Koszybski. Open it up to city council for any new business reports.
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Zarko.
First of all, I can't say enough about our vaccination center. Last week, Mr. Radke and I were there for a press conference on Wednesday, and it went into full operation on Thursday morning. And I decided that after I got my two shots, that I wanted to volunteer somewhere because I felt I was fortunate, and I just wanted to help out. And I had planned to do it at the hospital where I received my vaccinations, but I decided when we opened up the center that I would do it there. So I had to go for training on Saturday morning. And there was so much that I learned, and even one of our employees that's working here tonight happened to be in the class with me, and we found out that the Will Walker, who is the captain, firefighter, and was actually, this has become his full-time job by setting this up. And it is like setting up a huge event. But he was telling us actually in the introductory part of how it came to be is that right after 9/11, when the country was so worried about bioterrorism, that so many people were trained in mass vaccinations. And the city of Sterling Heights sent him to be trained. And he is now probably, as he was saying, after almost 20 years, the other people that have been trained are probably retired now. So we're fortunate enough that he has the expertise to do this, trained in biohazards, so when there are vaccinations or there's, too small of amount to use in a vial and it has to be transported back to the county, I mean, it is considered hazardous waste. So he's just trained. I was just so impressed with the operations, the paramedics that were there giving the vaccinations, that I couldn't say enough. But I know that there are people still in our community that are concerned about getting vaccinated. So I know that the Chamber's having an event, it's a Facebook event, and the panel will be members of the different hospital care networks, and they want to speak to residents about not being afraid to be vaccinated. So I was hoping that maybe we could get the information and put it on the Sterling Heights Facebook page so that I don't give you all the wrong information tonight. But I do know that it's coming. It seems like it would be a worthwhile, I don't want to call it an event, but certainly a podcast that would work for all of us, because we certainly want to get back to normal. So as soon as we can do that, that would be great. And not only that is, I'm not, through the chair to maybe Mr. Vanderpool, I know that some places are giving out little stickers that say I've been vaccinated. So maybe we can get some stickers that say I've been vaccinated at the Sterling Heights Senior Center. Would be kind of good if we could do that. I think people appreciate it. But when I was there, everybody was so accommodating, courteous. And everyone was saying they were so glad that it was in the city because it made it so much easier for them to get their vaccination. Their trust in what we were doing I was really impressed with. So, so that's all I have to say as far as the vaccinations. And then lastly, without objection from my colleagues, I would like to have administration place the recommendation of the Elected Officials Compensation Commission regarding the mayor and city council salaries on the March 16th council meeting agenda for consideration. Please include the public package of information they were provided in the unofficial minutes. And nothing further.
Okay. Council, any objection to that? Hearing no direction, do you have clear, hearing no objection, do you have clear direction, Mr. Koszybski?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Council, anyone else under new business reports? Mr. Yanez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, I apologize for not asking earlier. via email. Do we get a final tally on the number of people who were ticketed for snow emergency for not moving their vehicles?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Yanez, we ticketed approximately 400 individuals. I can get you the exact number, but it was just over 400 individuals.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. So I put out a Facebook post, because this sort of drives me a little crazy, why people aren't moving their cars when we have an emergency. And as we talked about, we put it on our Facebook page, you get emails, you get text messages, and the responses I got were pretty interesting. One lady told me that the neighbor had parked their car in front of her house. The plow wasn't able to plow in front of her house, so she had to pay $40 to have someone come and plow her house because of this one parked car. There were several people who didn't know that they could get emails and text messages, so they found out through that Facebook thread. For the most part, people, I guess if you're from Michigan or anywhere in the Midwest, it is kind of common sense. If there's going to be a lot of snow, chances are a plow is coming down your street sometime soon, and you should move your car or expect to get it buried. But I really like to see if we can't somehow lessen that number. I know 400 is only 1% of all our residential properties, but that's still 400 cars those plows had to go around. And like the lady who said that she had to pay $40 to get plowed out, that just isn't fair to her and her neighbors. I also heard from people who said that people never move their cars in their neighborhood and they never get ticketed. So we are probably missing quite a few people in that regards. But I certainly think that we should find at least another way. There were some suggestions on what we could do to notify people in regards to an emergency. But the other thing that I came away with this, this Facebook post was I think we really need to consider moving to progressive fines. I mean, we know who we're writing tickets to, and if we have people, because it's only $25, that are just doing it because it's not worth it for them to move their vehicles, then I think that fine needs to start moving up until they feel a pressure point to move their vehicle. But I certainly like to ask that we take another look at this issue and see what we can what we can do about the 1% that are not moving their cars. On another note, we were all meeting with the new fire chief, doing a little meet and greet his first days on the job, and mine was today. And it got me thinking, between meeting with him and the events of last week that happened in Texas with the failure of their grid and people literally freezing to death. I'm not sure, and again, through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, if you know the answer to this, when's the last time we did a citywide mock disaster?
Mr. Vanderpool, feel like we've been living in a last 12 months.
Thank you, Mayor.
Practice, at least.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Yanez, that's a very good question. What we are, this is a really good tabletop exercise we've had the last year, and I think the city's performed remarkably well. But we have historically done a lot of tabletop exercises in conjunction with the police department and fire department for mock disasters, anything from a tornado to floods to a lot of training with respect to Sterling Fest. And as a result of that training, we have procedures set up with the high schools where we would evacuate individuals to Stevenson High School. And depending on the nature of the event, let's say it's a massive power outage in the middle of winter with cold temperatures, we have facilities identified as warming facilities where individuals can go to. Thankfully, knock on wood somewhere, we haven't had to actually activate a number of those situations, but we are prepared. But it's something we can always do more of, especially over the past year. A lot of the training has been sidelined because we've been so focused on the emergency at hand. We are still in a declared local emergency. to address the issues at hand with this pandemic. But I appreciate your inquiry, and it's something that we will continue to be focused on in the future.
Well, I'd like to think so, especially, again, because we have a new fire chief, so he has the opportunity to see how the city operates as a whole. We have our emergency operations center at the fire station number 5. I'm not sure the last time that was used, probably in 2004 during the great blackout. Maybe we've used it since then, but I think, again, with the new fire chief, this is a great opportunity to maybe take a look at something later in the summer, early fall, of doing something on a much larger scale. I do want to reiterate what the city manager brought up earlier is Black Balloon Day. We've gone through this tragedy, over 500,000 lives lost to COVID, but people are still dying of overdoses every day, especially opioid overdoses. So, we can't forget that, life still goes on after COVID is finally over. Life is still going to go on, and we need to pay attention to the other issues such as opioid overdoses. So that's this coming Friday. And then it was brought up, I wasn't going to say anything, but it was just brought up by one of the citizens about this is Women's History Month. I did not know that. And so I looked it up on my phone real quick, and sure enough it is. And some people argue that we shouldn't be recognizing individuals for being individuals or groups that are different from others. But I have to tell you on a personal level, every time that there is a history month, whether it's Black History Month or Women's History Month or whatever, I learned something. We seem to dig a little deeper in the history and the accomplishments of individuals and groups. And I personally think it's a great idea to recognize folks, raise them up to a higher level just for a short period of time, so we could recognize the many things that we did. For instance, Women's History Month, and an African-American woman on top of that, was involved in the first space flight, right? So, something I never knew until the story came out. So anyways, I think that's a great idea. So maybe we will do a resolution, even though we're a city council late, but we're not going to be a city council meeting short on recognizing Women's History Month. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Yanez. Anyone else, council?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt?
Just quickly, Mrs. Yarko kind of triggered something talking about the senior center and the vaccination stations that we have going on there. I really do have to bring attention and kudos to the Parks and Recs Department. They have been so flexible through the last year, from hosting council meetings to hosting the election to closing the senior center and hosting the election center over there and having now the vaccination center over there. They are in constant flux, and they just seem to, without a second thought, do what needs to be done. And I think Mr. Langlis and his entire staff deserves a huge round of kudos, because they have, and not that every other employee has been flexible and working very, very hard throughout this whole pandemic, but they just seem to always be in motion and moving from here to there to everywhere, and not a complaint that I have heard, and I truly, truly appreciate everything that they've done. So I have nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Anyone? Mr. Radke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that the vaccination center the city is putting on is just amazing. Councilwoman Zarko and I had a chance to visit it with the county executive, and I just think that it is really like the first thing in the state. Sterling Heights has moved as fast as we possibly can to help our residents reach vaccines. With the Sears contract for a drive-in facility for phase 2, the current senior center, there is no city in the state without a health department like we are. We have no health department. So we're doing this as we fly on the fly. That is as far along, I think, as we are. And that's a testament to our firefighters, testament to Interim Chief Miller, who did a wonderful job, and his department, and to the Parks and Rec and everyone else. But we get a lot of calls and we get a lot of messages and we get a lot of things. People are saying, well, when can I get vaccinated? When can this happen? And I rest assured, everyone at home, we are working as quickly as possible to get the vaccine out to as many people as possible. And along that line, I wanted to, through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, I saw that we just got approved to be vaccinators in phase 2. Could you talk about that briefly, Mr. Vanderpool?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Radke. Yes, we're super excited to announce this news. In fact, the Free Press is doing a story on this, and it should be out any day. In addition to the vaccination center that the city is now operating at the senior center just across the street. And by the way, we're doing now about, on average, 100 vaccinations a day out of that center. And as Councilman Zarco said and Councilwoman Schmidt, it's been really well organized. It's run like a well-oiled machine. I've been checking in every day, and it really is just a testament to what pre-planning does in terms of paying off, as Councilman Yen has alluded to. So I'm really proud of that event. But what we've been working on the past few months is applying through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to become what we believe is the state's first city, as you indicated, without a certified health department, to become approved as a provider to receive vaccine doses. Now, obviously, to date, only certified health departments, hospitals, Walgreens, and a couple of other providers have been approved. So we will be, if not the first, one of the first cities in the state to actually be able to receive vaccines. And we also, in order to do that, we had to set up a partnership with Beaumont Health System to actually store the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines in cold storage to meet that protocol with the state. So we now have that in place. The second order of business was to have a facility to actually administer the vaccines through. So our senior center is geared up to do what we're doing now. In order to provide vaccines to the mass population in Sterling Heights, we needed a different facility. So of course, the city council approved at your last city council meeting a lease to run a vaccination center out of the closed Sears Auto facility. We're in the process right now of improving that facility, painting, making sure all the plumbing's working, restrooms in the facility, HVAC, so that it's presentable and inviting to those who drive through. And I emphasize drive through because you don't have to get out of your car. You're not subjected to inclement weather if it's raining or God forbid, snowing in a couple of months. You can drive in and be fully protected. There's ample parking. It's ideally located. We got a great deal on the lease. So I'm not aware of any other like drive-through facilities like this in the region. So we're not only approved to receive the vaccine, we have the site ready to go, although we're working on it daily to get it ready to open in a few weeks. But we're also working on a partnership with a health provider that will help us operate the vaccination center. And by the way, we can do many more dosages out of the Sears site. We do 100 across the street. We anticipate, we could do as many as hundreds a day at the very least, as much as 1,000 perhaps. It just depends on how many people we can have working there. But we're working on this partnership with a healthcare provider that they will provide the software to schedule the appointments, provide us personnel, although there'll be some cost sharing to supplement our personnel, and we'll have a seamless operation of what we believe will be one of the best run vaccination centers in southeastern Michigan. So we look forward to getting that open. I really want to recognize and thank the mayor and city council for your support of that effort, because it was sort of an unorthodox process. It could have been easy to say, no, let's just hold back and wait and see how things unfold. We chose not to do that. We chose the right course. And I'm really excited about this, and we all should be proud that we're able to really gear up for vaccinating all of our Sterling Heights residents in short order. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. To go along with that, I think maybe we should start thinking about our own health department at this point. We almost are almost there. Additionally, several people reached out online to me about snow shoveling. It's hopefully done for the year. I hope we don't have to shovel snow again. But there has been some confusion about what routes the city covers. Traditionally, if you have sidewalk adjacent to your property, the resident is supposed to shovel it, but we do clear some paths for school children, Mr. Vanderpool. Could you elaborate on this a little bit?
Yes, Councilmember Radke, you and I spoke about this, I think, yesterday, and I'm going to follow up with a report that I'll provide to you and City Council on the snow routes throughout the city for sidewalks. There are a few school walks that we clear in the spirit of public safety. We want to make sure that kids have a safe walkway system to get to school from various nodes, so we do have that in place. There are some anomalies like Dodge Park path system down Dodge Park Road, for example, even though that sidewalk is out in front of homes. Traditionally, a homeowner's responsible. That's a 10-foot wide pathway system. Really not realistic to expect homeowners to remove snow from that or some other trailways in the city as well. So there are some of these anomalies scattered across the city. I'll be sure to get the map distributed to City Council so you're well versed on it, and we'll be happy to publicize it more widely on our website. But I would say in 90% of the cases, homeowners are responsible for removing snow from their sidewalks that are either on the side of their house, the front of their house, or even in the rear of their property. But there are some cases where the city clears the walk in those specialized situations.
I appreciate that, Mr. Vanderpool. I know that my biggest concern is that it's equitable. I want to make sure that we are clearing snow when we have to, but not certain parts of the city are getting taken care of, for example, while others are being left out. Snow, shoveling snow or snow blowing snow is no one's favorite thing to do. It's just kind of a way of life here in Michigan, and I want to make sure that we're doing it as expeditiously as possible. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else on council? Mrs. Koski.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, in regard to the COVID vaccinations, you said that the Sears location is going to be open in a couple weeks, maybe. Are we going to continue to keep the senior center open for vaccinations along with that location? And if somebody wanted to get their name on the list, would you go over the procedure? Where is it posted? How can they get the information?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Koski, first let me be clear, I don't want to set any false expectations. When I said the facility would be open in a few weeks, I meant that the facility will be ready, I should say, to open in a few weeks. I mean, we'll have our work completed, and then it's just a matter of basically flipping the switches. While we have state approval to be a provider and accept the vaccine, we believe that will occur at phase 2. Right now, we're still in phase 1, which is phase 1A, 1B, 1C. We're actually in 1B and C right now. When we get to phase 2, that'll be mass vaccination. That'll be anyone under, I think it's over the age of 16, then will be eligible for vaccinations. That's what we intend to have the Sears site for. However, it's conceivable even before phase 2 that the site may be activated through a partnership with the county, or as I mentioned, another healthcare provider or another partner. So we want to have it ready to go. That's what we're focused on. So it's premature right now for me to say, exactly how individuals sign up. But what I can tell you is this. We've been hard at work over the last couple of months developing lists for Sterling Heights residents that we have that we're currently sharing with the county, that the county then is in turn scheduling appointments for at our senior center. We expect that could occur even in advance of phase 2 at the Sears site. So what, I guess the point is this. We have already developed lists of individuals in our city through a number of resources. We have individuals that do business with the city, that do business with the Parks and Recreation Department. So we have a list so far of almost 30,000 Sterling Heights residents that we can mobilize from that list, and we have been doing that and getting appointments scheduled accordingly. But let me remind the general public, if you want to schedule an appointment, currently you must go through the county website or call the county COVID hotline number to schedule an appointment. You can't do it through the city yet. We expect to be there, but you can't do it quite yet. So go to the county COVID website. You have a phone number there, there's an email there, and you can schedule your appointments. And some of them may end up being right here at the senior center across the street. I hope that helps. We're going to have much more information on all this in the next, few weeks over the next month or so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Koski. Ms. Zarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I will only add very little, but as a nurse who does deal with this every single day, and I have lots of patients that are still suffering with COVID, please, everyone who is able and can get vaccinated as soon as possible. Wear your masks until you don't have to, which we don't even know when that will be. I see that the governor is lifting restrictions a little bit on Friday, but please be careful and be safe. We are not out of this yet. And people are still getting sick. My son and son's 3 friends just came down with COVID, hanging out together, teenage boys, but actually they're 20 now, so I guess they're not teenagers. But still, they it's out there, it's very catchable, it's still very transmissible, and I would just ask people to please be conscious of your neighbors, your friends, and your family. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Zarowski. And thank you for all the council and the administration's explanations about what we're doing here to combat this. We've been pretty hard at work since, I mentioned it earlier, this is the first meeting in March, and that was the last time we were in our council chambers, I believe, was the first meeting in March. We had a telephonic meeting for the second meeting in March of 2020, and then we were remote and haven't been back to our chambers yet, and looking forward to getting back there. But I just want to say, as we're coming up on the 1-year sort of anniversary that this all went haywire, what a tremendous job our police department, our fire department, our DPW, all of our staff has done. We heard from Councilwoman Schmidt about how adaptive Parks and Recreation have been. It's really been an entire citywide effort that everyone has had to adapt. And this is one of those rare circumstances where disaster strikes and it affects every person in every city, every state, every country in the entire world. And so I'm proud of the way that we've sort of transitioned from keeping our people safe, getting them the best information possible, getting tests when we couldn't get tests, getting PPE when we couldn't get PPE, getting back into live meetings when most other cities weren't doing live meetings so that we could better serve our residents, continuing to provide services the entire year to the best that we possibly could. It's been an incredible year in terms of disaster, in terms of, the stress that people have been put through, but it's also been a year where we've seen the best in people come out. And so I'm proud that we've been able to do a lot of positive things here to help improve the quality of life for our residents when I think that we've all needed it the most. So as we come up on that really somber sort of 1-year anniversary of when everything got shut down, I do want to just commend everyone on our team who's worked extra hard this year to make it possible. So with that, I don't have anything further. We will, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Ms. Riska, can we please have a roll call vote?
Mrs. Ziarko?
Yes.
Mrs. Koski?
Yes.
Mr. Radke?
Yes.
Mrs. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Sarowski,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Yanas.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 7-0. We will adjourn into closed session, and we will not be returning. Thank you, everyone.